This is a video response to Same Old G, and how nice it is to be able to make video responses to Same Old G again. This is a combination of a couple of clips. He's posted one on healthy gaming, and he posted his own video response to a new YouTuber called Personal Preferences, and they seem to flow together for me, as does his recent reply to me on, let's say, agency. So let's start with healthy gaming. For me, healthy gaming is not everyone at the table is having a good time. It's everyone around the table usually has a good time. There are some sessions that aren't going to appeal to some people at your table, especially as your group gets larger. I'm currently doing Edge of the Empire and Age of Rebellion with a group of 5 people, plus me. That's 6. There are some sessions in a group of 6 people where somebody doesn't have the best time all the way through. There may even be a session where somebody doesn't have a good time for that whole session. How do we know it's a good game? How do we know it's a healthy game? They all love to talk to each other about it. They want to share what they think is going to happen. They come back week after week. Nobody's missed a session. We've been playing since, I don't remember when we started playing. We've been playing for months and months and months. Nobody's missed a session. We have plans in place for what to do when 2 members go on vacation. And all of these things, these people working together to make sure the experience stays fun, that suggests a healthy game to me. Now I'm standing out here in what looks like the wilderness, and for a lot of people, the natural environment, it's comfortable, there's plants, the birds are singing and all that stuff. This is healthy. But, for other people, an urban environment or a carefully controlled and constructed semi-natural looking environment, these are the things that make for health and good experiences. And, while that might be a form of relativism, it is important to recognize that you will never really find a group of people who 100% agrees on all the minutiae and even maybe all the major points of any particular experience. Music, art, cooking, gaming. What makes it healthy is that you don't have people splitting off. You don't have people trying to change it to make it something that it hasn't been. You don't find that the arguments spill over into real life or spill into the game from real life. People come to have a good time. People leave knowing that even if they didn't have the best time today, they'll have a good time the next time. Now, personal preferences manifest in this when you have that long-term group. The group that notices that, oh, you're playing that again? But the question really wasn't about should you or shouldn't you indulge yourself in running the same type of characters over and over again. It was noticing that maybe you run the same character or similarly themed characters each time you play. And the part I wanted to contribute, especially as how it relates to healthy gaming, is that often the game master is the person who so rarely gets to play, you always see them play the same character because they're not done with it. They've never had a chance to explore it. They get 2-3 sessions playing, their Wage Mage in Shadowrun and then spend 20 years never having a chance to play that character again. 2 or 3 sessions does not make much of an exploration. They've always wanted to play, you know, fill in the blank, but they're the one always running the game. Personal preferences turn into these repeating patterns, I find, because of a lack of satisfaction or fear. The lack of satisfaction, you never really got the chance to portray that character because things around the table didn't really turn out to be the game that was pitched or the direction that the group took. Stories changed the way you perceived your character early on. I strongly believe that the character on paper, the vision you have for it before play starts, once you start creating the voice of that character, once you start playing as that character evolves, that character grows, and sometimes it changes after the very first thing you say. Sometimes it takes weeks for the character's real voice to come out. But change it will. And when you sit down during character creation, you think, you know, I still have never really managed to play this character. Lack of satisfaction in exploring a character concept. But fear in, maybe I can't play this concept, or maybe the group won't take me seriously. And that's a sad thing. And hopefully if you have a healthy enough group, this is something that could just be explained. You know, I would like to play a detective like Sherlock Holmes, or I'd like to play a paladin. I'd like to play a serial killer. I'd like to play a stay-at-home dad who gets caught up in things beyond his understanding. You know, these character concepts which might be too close to the mark or might seem ridiculous. You know, you want to play the face, but you stumble over every word. You want to play the shy, unassuming kind of support character, but you could be on the cover of GQ. You know, the group, healthy group, should be there as support for these explorations, not only for the frustrated game master who never gets to play, but also for the person that wants to experience through roleplay what they're never going to experience as a person. It's a role-playing game. Fantasy's part of it. If a group is healthy enough to communicate about topics like that, and I find people are much less willing to talk about the types of characters that they really want to play than they are about things like rule choices, rule interpretations, or the topic of agency, then you've got something. The last part of this clip is about agency. I like how Same Old G in his video response split it into two major groupings. Agency based around in-game decisions and agency based around shaping the game. This is effective. This is good. If you can't escape the feeling that all decisions are coming from the game master and that frustrates you, then I think that's a clear signal that you need to move further down the spectrum. And on my website, my blog, Casting Shadows, a few months ago I posted an article called Charting a Spectrum of Play, and I put up a graphical representation of agency from, you know, none to complete. And, you know, what does that really mean? Well, that's, of course, talking about, you know, no agency. You don't even get a decision. Your character's basically in the story to supply dialogue. All the way to there's no GM and you and whoever else is sitting around just really spitballing your way through, you know, inventing on the spot, moving through the shape of a story. This is not a, you know, worse than, better than spectrum. This is a spectrum of function. When there's no agency, no freedom even to make a left-right decision, a yes-no decision. When that is all removed, what is the function of that? What is the purpose of that? Why would you choose to do it that way? Why would you choose to play it that way? That's what the spectrum is about. All the way to the other end, the GM-less group collaboration story spinning end of the spectrum. Why would you play it that way? What does that allow? What does it make it harder to do? That sort of thing. So just as an example, why would you play on the no agency end of the spectrum? Same old G mentioned it. If you're going through a module, if you want to go through a specific story experience, then sometimes this will be necessary. Cutscenes that reveal information that you don't want to reveal so much in exposition. It's a tool. It has a purpose. Not everybody's going to like that tool. Not everybody's going to like that purpose. But that's part of what it does. The other end of the scale, what does it do? Well, it allows you the total freedom to come up with any kind of story sitting around with a group. You can see an example of this in Fiasco, a cooperative experience focused on building stories. It's not focused on playing roles so much. It's not as focused on exploring your character long term, the campaign play of a character and seeing it grow from a novice through to an expert. It's about scenes. It's about types of people together in a, let's say, desperate situation. And what you're free to do is to totally create, without boundary, what happens to these people and what they do as a result. It's a spectrum. It's not a point of, this is good play, that is bad play. No. It's tools in your toolbox to recognize. Now, your game may regularly fall somewhere along this spectrum, which is great. But from time to time, dipping into tools from other aspects of the spectrum will expand your game into more than what it can be or more than what it has been if you just stay in that narrow band that is your point of preference. So, thank you, Same Old G, for the video response and pointing out 3 interesting topic areas, which I have blended together into one. I look forward to more.